Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, back to a Monday night roundtable. How are you, coaches?
Doing good, doing good. Can you believe that it's June 1st?
No,
I've
I was.
only got 17 more days.
Do what?
17 more days. And then I'll be 50.
We should have titled this podcast Coach Sly's 50th. Well, welcome everyone uh, to the Beyond Nutrition Community podcast. This is a space for slowing down, tuning in, and rebuilding your health from the inside out. So you are looking at three coaches. I am Coach Sherri. We have Coach Becky, and we have Coach Sly. Every Monday, the first Monday of every month, we have a coaches round table. So who are you looking at? Well, you're looking at three women who have been where you are, right? Overwhelmed and exhausted and disconnected from our own bodies. And we have lived it, we have moved through it, and we have rewritten our stories, but not with quick fixes or pushing harder, but with slow, steady healing and a return to what's real. So, we're here to walk with you as you learn to trust your body, honor nature's rhythm, and create sustainable health in every part of your life. This is a place where we're going to have honest conversations, gentle support, and a community that reminds you that you're not doing this alone. If you are craving calm, clarity, and a deeper connection to yourself, well, guess what? You found your people and you're in the right place. So, with that, let's dig in. And so, tonight's topic is kind of uh, just kind of unfiltered tonight, right? Life life lessons that we've kind of been going through lately, and what we're taking into summer, and everything kind of in between. So, with that, I will be quiet for a little bit, and I'll let the other two coaches start talking.
Go for it, Sly.
What do you mean?
Well, we're halfway through the year, right? And
Ah,
so, I mean, what has this first 5 months look like? What have you learned from or been coaching? Because I mean, I know as coaches we spend a lot of time teaching and guiding and supporting others, right? So let alone navigating our own challenges and growth. I mean, so
um, you know, I haven't been doing as much one-on-one coaching. I've been sticking with the groups that I've been doing. So, that has taken a little bit of time to let me like refocus on what I've been trying to do since January, but still giving back, right? And what have I learned? Slow and steady wins the race for sure. Consistency is still key, and you can't prepare for the Super Bowl in 4 weeks. Um, so that those are lessons that I will be taking into summer this year that I think I left behind last year. Um, and making sure I'm ready for my busy season coming in. Uh, I've learned a few more tools in my toolbox. I've really taken to the 7 levels deep of why. I think it's a nice tool on hand. Um, I have taken a liking to the uh, nootropic keto brick. Uh, Obsessed with that right now. Yeah, I know, but it's so good. Oh, and Sherry's kitty. Uh, uh, I think another thing that I have learned too is like calm is good, but I've had to here lately put out some tough love for those one-on-ones of people from I guess I don't ever stop coaching the people that I've coached. Like
Yep.
usually, you know what I mean? Like a lot of them, especially my mental health people, they hold a dear place in my heart. And so if they call me, I'm gonna answer. And they don't abuse that or anything like that. So or even a close friend of mine, I had to have a tough love with her. She got so mad at me. So probably take a little bit of tough love into the summer also. Yeah.
Sometimes we have to have that tough love with our friends.
Yes. Yes. It's hard, but you got to do it. I'm learning that in all aspects of
Yep.
my life. And since my
So for
therapist,
those
aka
listening
care
that
partner, said that I'm in my peace time, we're gonna go with
very nice,
that.
very nice. So for those listening that may not end up know, can you explain, I mean, not give the whole system away, but you're 7 layers deep?
Oh, well, I mean, we could give it away. It's free. They it's
Because
just like
nervous system is important, and digging
yeah.
into, the whole why is so important. So before I, go into my whole spiel, I'll end up
Oh
and let
yeah.
you explain that.
So everybody always has a why, right? We have a goal and we have our why. But if you ask that same room full of people, how many people was their why enough to keep them either in recovery or on their plan or on their goals? A lot of them aren't going to raise their hand that it kept them on there, right? That it kept them going towards it. And this is actually, there's a 7 layers wide deep uh, website you can go to, put that goal in, and it asks you, why is that important to you? And you answer it. And then it's going to ask you why that's important to you. And you just keep going until you get some feelings, until you get that gut feeling and what's going on. I even used it a few weeks ago when I wanted fried chicken. I know it's like the one thing, right? It's like, well, you used it for fried chicken, but it was a turmoil in my head at the time. And I even went to like in the store, went to the counter, had it sitting there, and nobody came to check me out over at the deli. And I was like, this is a sign. I left it there, I walked away, and then I go outside and there is another restaurant that we all know and love standing right there. And so I pulled it out. Why don't I want to eat fried chicken? Why is that important to me? And end up here because of seed oils, right? Because you don't want to put those things into your body and stuff like that. But it was just like one of those things. It was a great tool for even in the moment of like that. But like really, if you're trying to figure out your why, and I feel like if you don't get some feelings with it, it's not your why.
Very true. Very true. And that's where, I end up speaking of the whys and the symptoms and that whole side of things. That's one of the things, over the last few months, working with clients, even the last year, working with clients, is everyone has, like you said, the why, but when they're also identifying with their symptoms, right? The symptoms aren't the problem. It's the nervous system. And that's why I said, digging deep, like you said, getting into those true feelings, not just, I want to end up and get healthy because my joints ache. Okay, why are your joints aching? Why are, digging into that. And, we're not always just going to think our way out of a body that is stuck in the survival mode. And I know, Sherri, you ended up and brought up the fact of, you didn't realize what your parasympathetic or what your body needed as far as the parasympathetic. And
Yeah.
that's kind of, getting the body out of that stuck mode and moving forward.
Yeah, I was doing everything. I was doing everything, right? Trying to to calm the nervous system. And because I know that it's directly tied with my healing. And the healing has been stalled for an enormous amount of time. And it's been very frustrating because I've done everything, right? And we talk about this constantly of it works till it doesn't. And that's my story. Literally, it worked and then it doesn't. It works and then it doesn't. And the only thing left was really to start working on the nervous system. And so, uh, meditation, and I mean, you name it, yoga. I even have started working with Coach James, the other coach that sometimes joins us. So I am doing exercising, and he's changed up my macros. And yes, coaches sometimes need help too. And But the most wild thing that happened 4 weeks ago was my husband and I were getting ready to go to bed, and just for perspective, we live on 50 acres in our travel trailer. We're going to build. When I say we live in the middle of nowhere, our nearest neighbor is like a mile away. We're like a half mile off of the gravel road. Like we're really out here remote. And we were getting ready to go to bed, and I heard a meow from outside. And I heard it a couple times, and I said to my husband, I'm hearing a cat. And we opened the door, and there at the bottom of our steps was this little kitten. And we literally cannot figure out how this little kitten found this travel trailer right in the middle of 50 acres in the middle of nowhere. And hold on, he is being a terror behind me. But we invited him in. We couldn't leave him outside to fend for himself. He was too little. And then we have animals. We have wild animals. We have big bobcats and coyotes and hawks and things. And they would find him probably a pretty tasty snack. So we invited him in, or he invited himself in, and he's been with us now for 4 weeks. And it is the funniest thing that this little kitten has totally transformed both myself and my husband. But my parasite, I'm sure you guys can tell a difference.
Absolutely. I thought I froze there.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I tend to end up in freeze, right? So I'm like, oh, I must have froze. But yeah, we can end up and tell a difference. And, and I see the difference. And that's why even just, we have the three of us have a group chat message, and I was actually out grocery shopping, and my husband told me I was rude, but I ended up, you had sent a comment, and I'm like, change the mindset, right? And that was literally my message. I'm like, so again, giving that tough love, right? And he's like, you could have probably phrased that a little different. I'm like, no. I'm like, no. She knows what's coming from me. She probably actually ends up and, took that better than if I wasn't in the middle of grocery shopping. But
well, yeah, so we have this group chat between the three of us, and we this cat, sorry. Apparently it's the time to go crazy. So normally he's curled up right here sleeping, but not tonight. So anyway, yeah, we have this group chat, and Coach Sly texted and said, "How's it going with Coach James, Sherri?" And I'm like, I don't know. What did I say?
Slow.
Slow.
I don't even think she said slow. I think it was some other comment.
What she said?
I was just saying, now we're all looking back at the message.
Now we got to go see how it went down.
She did say slow. It was the second message where she said my body hates me that I ended
Yeah.
up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But and that's just it. Like you said, even as coaches, there's sometimes we have to reach outside of ourselves, right? Because
Yeah.
supplements, and then I put a post out earlier, and it was like the hill I'm going to die on is, metabolic and circadian coach. And that's one of them is supplements and protocols, right? They'll only take you so far unless you're working on the nervous system, unless you're working on that stress signal. You're going to end up and chase your tail. You're going to feel like it's not working. You're going to feel like, and it's not linear. I just had this conversation with my husband as he's on his, weight loss journey too. And he's kind of hit a plateau. I'm like, that's going to happen. You're going to have weeks in there where you may not see a loss or you may see a gain, right? But that doesn't mean that it's a failure. It just means, really looking at it, right? And if you only look at one side of your journey, sure, I could, I can't even see that type of a comment, right? Because again, changes the mindset. But as the three of us were chatting further, there was wins, right? The program is working. There are changes being made.
Yeah.
And, so the body's not broken.
Well, and what's funny is what Coach James is doing with me isn't anything I didn't already know. Right? I mean, literally, it's everything I knew. I guess the difference would be I'm accountable to Coach James and to both of you coaches, right? So it's like this community coach. Like now I'm super, before it was every excuse I had of why I couldn't do, right? And something has switched, flipped, I don't know, but it has. And am I seeing drastic changes? Absolutely not. It's very slow. Um, but isn't that kind of the name of healing?
Mm-hmm. It is. It is. And that's where, people will have asked me because obviously I got, certified in the quantum and circadian side of things back in 21. But I have seen that weight loss and I've seen the ups and the downs. Again, it's not a linear process. I mean, you get the brunt of anyone. And now that we have a group chat, Sly can get it too. But overall there has been that change, in my last, I would say, year. And there's been some great wins, and that's where it's not fancy, it's not flashy, it's not, quote profitable, because a lot of what I did was just simply that structure. Like you said, having what you're doing with James is no different than what you've done in the past. It's just the structure. And Sly even brought it up too, of the consistency, right? And so as our body is responding to these proper, signals and strategies, and you got to find what works for your body. And I can guarantee all three of us end up a a little bit different, right? As far as what we're doing. And so learning that lesson of individuality is huge, because when we take our life, right, life is going to end up and throw us curveballs. Life is going to end up and throw us stressful times. It's going to end up and throw us periods where we may not think that, we're going to end up and get out of it, right? We've all had those moments, those periods. But it's really leaning on your support system, leaning on, fellow coaches. I can't tell you how many times, we've reached out to each other and, in those times, but it's that lesson of learning yourself, not learning, well, I need to end up and do it this way, or I need to end up and push harder, or I need to do this protocol, or, even like my life, right? The last, I'll say 2 weeks, we went on a trip, we, whatever, and come back. I literally step off the plane, and within an hour of stepping off the plane, I'm in an emergency room. Not me. I'm in the emergency room with my husband. So this whole thing is all, compiling, and I could have let it, overwhelm. I could have really spun out on it, but I could have also, when I weighed in on my Wednesday and I gained over 3 pounds, you know, spun out and thought, oh, I need to end up and fast. I need to end up and restrict more. Or I need to go harder, right? But I didn't. What did I end up and tell you? It's stress, it's life, and it was the travel. And I know it wasn't, 3 pounds of fat. I know it was just a water shift. It was a glycogen, uh, sure, there were foods and stuff that, I normally wouldn't have, right? But it was getting back on track. And sometimes that's what it takes, is just having that moment of getting back on track. Now, I knew I had the summer challenge coming up starting today. So, that was my other accountability of, I've got to be able to, be on track and going, but it's just learning to navigate those situations.
Right. So let me ask you guys a question. What has been taking most of your energy lately?
Go for it, Sly.
Social media was taking most of my energy horribly. And I guess another lesson that I brought with me is that the Native American culture up here has fasting camps every year, and they always usually have them like at a not good time for me to go to them with my work schedule and when school ends and stuff like that. And so every once in a while, I'll know somebody that's going to one, and I will fast with them. And this year, I took it a little higher, took it to the next level of, uh, I was like, man, I'm just not down here eating, and that seems like not enough. So I went ahead and fasted from social media and also fasted from trash TV. I didn't watch I didn't have any distractions really through the process of it. And that's another level I'm gonna let you know. I kind of like brought the hill to me instead of being able to go to the hill, which I found out that works. My One of my last days, we have the Red River here, and there's a few places where there's like a dam kind of thing where the rocks are and the water's crashed, and it was just like sitting there watching the morning as the sun was rising, right? And you see the river, and it's so calm. And then it gets to this little dip, and there's all these rocks, and it's just beating itself up and beating itself up and beating itself up, trying to make it through the rocks. But just as far from the other end of the rocks, it's calm again, you know? And that was like a big onset of like, okay, you know? Um, and I think I have I run out of social media minutes a day instead of texting minutes or call minutes. I have I was having them at 30, and I knocked them down to 15 minutes on Facebook and Instagram, and even TikTok has a 10-minute time limit on it. Like if I'm on it for more than 10 minutes, it pops up and says, hey, what are you doing? You should probably get up and go do something else. I mean, you can always disable them. You can always move past them. It's not it. You still have to put some self will in there, but yeah, I think seeing what's going on out there in the road, I think we can take too big of a stock in sometimes. And like I said, my therapist says I'm getting ready to start my peace chapter. So I started writing that peace chapter at the end of my fast. So
Awesome.
All right, Becky, what's been taking up most of your energy?
My energy. Let's see. No. Well, obviously, my daughter is starting her senior year, so we're starting that realm of things as far as we just did her senior pictures. So Sly, I'll be reaching out to you again for prints.
I'm going to need you to do the senior Sunday thing like the rest of the world too. But
Hey, her senior year hasn't started, so don't make me do it already, my baby. But yeah, so we're going into that. Of course, going in the grandbaby comes in September, so we're nearing the last trimester of that. And then just my life in general, right? As far as tomorrow, I will pause and give a shout out. Tomorrow is our anniversary, so we got married in 2007. So happy anniversary to my husband. But beyond family wise, it's really been, the different areas of coaching, starting, this community challenge, the community itself. And then we decided to, move semi away from, right, social media. So we started the blog up again. We started Substack. So anyone that is not over on Substack, jump over there. I don't know if Sly has started a Substack yet, but
I don't even know what that is.
it's a longer version. So you're able to put out a little bit more information than just like a Facebook post. So Sherri and I both have jumped over Substack, but it's also kind of similar to the blog. And so yeah, we've done the blog again, and are getting back into that. Why we decided June 1st for all of this is beyond me, but the blog's up and going again. The Substack has been started. The podcast is obviously still going. And then I also decided to start a 66-day challenge June 1st. So I know, well, it takes it through summer. So a lot of people end up in struggle with summer, and it will take us to August 5th, which most people are starting to go back to school at that point. But chaos of summer ends up and hits, and people just get very willy-nilly with what they're doing. And so that's why I really felt like, pulling through summer and getting, having that accountability, having that structure, being able, I've been sending out posts in the community. I've been posting also anyone that has signed up for the challenge, they get a daily email. So, and that actually just started today. So it's not too late if you want to end up enjoying that. I can grab a link and put it in the chat. But if you're over there on Instagram, you can find my posts or reply with glow and I'll get you the information. So yeah, I have that. And then also the collaborations that I've been doing. I've been working in those communities as well. So yeah, it's a bit much, but we're keeping it going and supporting the people. And that's always been, my motto is to help the people.
Wow. Busy,
Right?
all of us. Yeah. So let me ask this question. So now that we kind of know where life is taking all of us, where have you felt most grounded or okay in all of that, right? Where you felt that peace or that grounding?
Well, to be honest, I didn't feel it till about the middle of last week. I felt like my stuff at work has changed. I do groups 3 nights a week. And we've had a lot of things going on in our recovery community here. There was an overdose death. Yeah. So, there's those kinds of things going on. And it wasn't till I took some some time for rest and repair, and took some moments of not cluttering my mind with things, that I was able to find some peace. And I have been working with a coach since January, and I'm with her till August at this moment. And I find peace and consistency with the program that I do with her, you know. And it's really nice because uh, she she's got me on a nice steady workout program that's not too much. It's just enough. I can fit some of the other little things that I like in there, and I've been very consistent with that. And yes, it's been a slow progress, Sherri, but I have been noticing lately the changes and stuff, because we do weekly check-ins with her, and that includes progress pictures and stuff. So, and am I doing anything different really than I do anywhere else? No. I know what she's telling us, and she actually, in our form that we fill out every Saturday now, she added a field. She goes, "What do you think Coach would say?" For our checkout form. So, I think that we know sometimes, but it is just like, even if you are coach, I mean, that's like, even in recovery communities, right? It doesn't matter how long you've been there. Uh, Most people in 12-step programs, they sponsor people and work them through the 12 steps, right? It's just a repeated same program, but they have a sponsor too that they go through the 12 steps with. So you may use that sponsor or coach differently depending on where you're at and what your needs are and stuff, but it's kind of nice to know that even your coach needs a coach, right? Even your coach needs support. Even they're just as human as you are when it comes to things. So I think uh, that's where I found my peace, is that I have this, like, I have a bunch of different people that I can rely on for community, which is also nice. And I like that. Even outside the 12-step recovery, because I think that, you get different pieces of things from, wherever you go. Um, and my coach is Natalie she's a keto bikini pro. And I'm gonna tell you, I watched her for 6 months before I even would join her stuff. I was actually afraid to at first, and then I was like, we did the 30-day challenge, and I was like, okay, and I signed up for her workout program. So yeah.
All right, Becky.
Well, and kind of to tag on Sly's, right? It is the serving and coaching of others. Even though what I ran through, sounds like to a full-time job in and of itself. It is. Essentially, I work 2 full-time jobs, but even when that business gets stressful, right? Whether it's the Beyond Nutrition community, whether it's my Becky Now's coaching, or the collaboration that I do with Sarah for the blueprints, it's still helping someone fully understand their body. I mean, I wanted to, when you first said that, I kind of smirked because I wanted to be a smart ass. Where do I feel grounded? Outside. Right? I'm like, so I wanted to be a smart ass, but I'm like, no, really, honestly and truly, let's answer, properly. But really, when people see that connection and being able to understand their body and find that hope, because it's not always about adding more, right? And even I've had to kind of look at that myself, of living more aligned, right? Being a little bit slower, being more intentional, being, taking that step back in sometimes. And it's not about chasing, right? I was constantly, I mean, I still wear, my data stuff. I still weigh myself, once a week. I'm still looking at, that next achievement, right? but it's also focusing on the foundations at, sleep, light, food, and really changing my food and being comfortable with my food, right? There was a time where I would, and I know, Sherri, you are similar in this. There was a time where I was very consistent with my macros, and I had to hit them, specific. But I've kind of even taken that step back and just simple daily practices, right? Creating that over time instead of, you know, hyper focused, if you will. And be honest with you, I left my laptop at home when we went on vacation. Yes, I had my phone. Yes, there was, an hour flight where I did end up and do some work. But when I was there, I was present. And that's the biggest thing that I think a lot of people, also don't look at is no matter whether it's family day or whether it's vacation day or whether, like you said, Sly, you're spending time at the river or a lake, right? A lot of people are still go, go, go. They don't take that time to sit. I mean, I don't, Sly, I don't know that many people would have made that analogy that you did with the river and the rocks, right? They would have just seen the river, right? So, it's really taking that step back and laughing with friends, enjoying friends, having communication, and that all ends up and helps support the body. And that's kind of where I guess I found myself grounded, is being okay with, there's always going to be work, right? I could be on the computer 24 hours a day and there's still stuff that, I could be or should be probably doing, but living a little bit slower. How about yourself, Sherri? Where are you grounded?
Oh my goodness, this furry little thing right here has grounded me. Something fierce, right? Like, I'm getting bit right now. And like, it took me out of this constant, I don't even know the word that I'm looking for. This constant, I've been in a state of healing now going on, it'll be 5 years in September. Um, and there are times when it's been desperation. There's been times where, harder, faster, deeper. And I think, seriously, like getting a kitten dumped outside our door all of a sudden took a lot of that constant looking at myself. And now I have something to take care of. Yes, I'm married. Yes, I have a husband. But I've noticed, like I said, a change in him. So I would say that. But I have started very intentionally doing things at lunch where I eat at work. I'm talking about, and the rest of my time is a very calming. I'm sitting out in the sun. I'm getting natural light. I'm not even walking, like because what happens is all of a sudden it's like, oh, I got to go harder, faster, right? And I'm in dress clothes, and it's like, nope, this is my time to decompress and to chill. So I think that's helped. And I'll be honest, I'm sleeping better than I've slept in a very long time. Um, so that is telling my body that what I'm doing is working as well. So I kind of sound like I'm on repeat, don't I?
It's all
Well, I
right.
mean, so you got a self and you have a purpose.
Yeah.
Two biggest things in recovery. Two of the biggest,
Uh,
huge things in recovery.
why didn't you tell me that a couple years ago? No,
I think I have.
right.
I think it's I think it comes up here and there, but
Yeah.
you have to find it.
Yeah.
you have to find it. And I'm glad that you found it.
Yeah. So, with all of that, what are you now taking into summer, right? Because I'm kind of hearing a theme with all of us, where except for Becky. Sly, you and I are slowing down. Um, I think we're taking that right into summer. Um,
Yes.
but but not what we should do this summer, but what we're choosing to carry into it. So we're going to start with Becky.
What am I carrying into summer? This
Yeah.
challenge. The challenge and helping guide people through, some of the basics, right? Helping guide them through that it doesn't have to be that more. I guess what I'm taking into the rest of summer is leading people through what I would have told, the version of myself a year ago, right? That the nervous system and a lot of the basic foundation, right? The sunrise, the sleep, real food, regulating their stress, that whole side, right? Your body is listening. So, you gotta be able to give it, those constant signals. And again, weight loss resistance, if that's what they're after, it's often, it's information, right? So more restriction is not always the answer. And hormones, a lot of people end up and just kind of pick or put blinders on a certain thing. And so trying to, carry throughout the message that is not just one thing, that consistency many times beats that intensity. um and the goal isn't to force your body into that submission, but it's to build that trust again. And for many people, that kind of like what Sly said, self and purpose, right? Being able to really look and feel and find that purpose, that's tough for some people. So I'll carry throughout summer with, like I phrased my post, the hills that I will die on. um, because it is these are the areas that are going to end up a matter. It's not, just the number on a scale, but it's how your body is feeling and behaving differently.
Coach Sly, what are you
Um,
taking into summer?
Rest and
Or,
repair.
ah,
Rest and repair. Keep my consistency going, but rest and repair, and taking that same space. I won't do the uh, the way that I did with the amount of time that went into this last one, but maybe more of the rest and repair, and maybe one day here and there of from sun up to sundown of just leaving the distractions behind. And you're right, not a lot of people would see that because we're too busy, you know, in our heads or in our phones or worried about there. And even like I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a dog person at all, right? And going down to the river can be a little sketchy around here. But I love the running water right there, and I went. And uh, all of a sudden, I was so like not zoned out into my phone, but zoned out into watching the river and stuff. That this gentleman had been on a run walk with his dog, and this little dog was just so innocently having so much fun, jumped in the little shallow part of the river and was taking a drink and would just flap his jaws up and down and turn around and look at his owner. I was like, "Can I have more? Is it time to go? Can I play a little bit longer?" It did that a few times, and it was just that kind of piece that I want to continue on for the summer of having moments like that. Yeah.
And how about yourself, Sherry? What are you taking into summer?
Doing exactly what I'm doing, right? Because it's working. And it is about being less angry at myself. It's about allowing myself that time to actually heal. Um, I guess it's and I'm gonna continue focusing on, exercising and changing the macros and but it's about peace. It's about seeking out what calms me down. And I know I just keep talking about this cat, but there are other things that I do. I do meditation, and it's just slowing down. And I'm going to take that into summer. And one of the things that I'm going to start doing is looking at nature more, kind of what Coach Sly just said. Um, I have 3 ponds on our property. I love that. When I am meditating and thinking about a calming, like where's your, picture yourself in a setting. It's always in front of my big pond, and so it's like, well, go spend more time out there by that pond and look at nature, right? So things like that. Just continue with the slowness of things, but I'm also working on building my business as well. So that's why I started the Substack. I'll actually put links in the notes below to that so everybody can find us. I worked out 4 weeks of blog, so I've got those set to go post. They actually correlate with what our topics are on the podcast, and so sorry. It's like every chord, every movement, this cat is wanting to attack me. It's so funny. Um, but so working on that side of things, I think I've determined that I'm going to start writing more. I think I have a book in me. I've known that for a very, very long time. So that's something I'm going to start diving into. And yeah, just keep coaching and keep working with people and keep doing what I'm doing. I like this piece in my life right now very much.
Well, and I think the biggest thing that I'm hearing in all three of us is it's not necessarily, becoming a different person, right? It's the goal is becoming who we are created to be, more present, more grounded, more resilient, more aligned, right? And so if we can end up and create that type of person, imagine the people around us, right? Because there's, that mirror neuron effect, right? So we are going to end up and create that ripple effect.
Absolutely.
So if someone is in a similar season that each of us are in, what would you want them to hear, or what reminder do you think people need right now?
Go ahead, Becky.
So learning to work with instead of against, learning that healing, whether it be metabolism, hormones, sleep, energy, I mean, the list goes on, right? They are all connected, and it's not just one area, but it's really taking that honest look and finding a simpler way. It doesn't have to be complicated, and we're not looking for perfection. Again, we're just looking for that alignment. Hence why, I called my signature coaching method the aligned metabolism method, right? It's not fancy supplements, it's not fancy gadgets or, biohacking equipment that someone else is going to, make a profit off of. It's how can you end up and in this, tracking and chasing and strict plans and really work with yourself. And that's where a coach comes in. So, building out, I'll still continue, building out and supporting the Beyond Nutrition community because it's that place of purpose rather than pressure, right? We all end up and do it a little bit different, but it's a place to connect. It's a place to feel safe. And then, yeah, we have all our other areas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you, Coach Life?
I'm just gonna stick with rest and repair. Have you guys ever played 6 Degrees to Kevin Bacon? Do you guys know that game? So like you can name any actor and name a movie, then name an actor, and then like in sessions or less, you can get to Kevin Bacon. You can relate him to Kevin Bacon. So I took that scenario and we made a 6 degrees to long-term recovery. But the first thing that we started with is like rest and repair. Then we went to nutrition. Then we went to support. Then we went to this and tried to find 6 degrees. It had to make sense, to do that, to get to the long term recovery part of it. And I think, you know, the the longer this goes, the more I see how important the rest and repair is, even sometimes even before the nutritional part, right? Even before that can come in, because if we don't have the right rest or the right mindset, then decision fatigue is a thing, right? And when we get tired and cranky and we can't make those right decisions, when the relapsing and the long term recovery doesn't come in very well. So, yeah, rest and repair and give yourself time to heal.
I love that. So, any additional tips that is really you talking to you a year ago, but yet talking to the audience? So, right? Yeah, think about that. So,
Uh, it is okay to explore, but it's not okay to give yourself permission to go off rails. And I don't even think I went off rails really. I mean, I must have went off farther than what I thought, but I think we don't want to be rigid, right? We don't want to be rigid and restricting, but finding that space of what you personally need. Like what I personally need is different than what Becky or Sherri needs. I need something for my mental health, right? That is not that their mental health isn't important, but they don't have uh, borderline personality, bipolar disorder, or any of those things. So what I need is going to look a little bit different, and just remember what I am doing is for my healing, and knowing that you're not gonna you can't start 2 weeks before the Super Bowl practicing or getting ready for the Super Bowl. It's a long, consistent thing. Not perfection, but consistency. That's what I would tell myself.
And I think that's where, people need to stop waiting for life to calm down, right? I
Yeah.
hear it a lot. When life calms down, I'll end up and I'll get started, or I'll start on Monday, or I'll start on, whatever the case may be, right? Life is really going to end up and get less busy. It may get, chaos and the stress load, or I shouldn't even say the stress load, the workload, I'll put it that way, right? The seasons change. We may be busier in certain times than others, but each season brings a challenge. It brings different responsibilities. And that's where we really need to end up and just take it, a time, right? Because winter is no different than summer, right? So even though it's a different season, for us, we need to end up and find that anchor. And that's when life feels chaotic, you don't have to do everything. I'll tell my coaching clients, pick 2 to 3 things. We have a checklist, and it's like, you know what? If you're only ticking, 3 to 5 of the boxes on the checklist, at the end of the challenge or at the end of, our coaching period, whatever the case may be, you should, be ticking more boxes, right? It may not be perfect still, But being able to, build upon that, whether that's the time outside or the meaningful connection with family or, whatever it may end up and look like, don't mistake a bump in the road or a detour or whatever as a dead end. There's going to be those rough weeks. There's going to end up and be time where, we don't feel like we're making progress, or in Sherri's terms, right? Slow, slow, I think was the message. But, really taking it and making sure we're staying on track, right? Protect that energy, protect your schedule, set the boundaries, right? All of that is going to create a different person.
Ooh, you were talking to yourself a year ago.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and we have to, right? So we're also still a work in progress, all three of us. We're just in different stages. I mean, Becky, you, I think, have made the most visible change out of all of us. And I know you're getting lots of questions about it. Do you want to address that for a few minutes?
The fact that in a year's time I've lost almost 63 pounds.
Yes.
Yeah. So it hasn't been, again, that linear process, but it's been a season of, yes, I did end up and create a method. It is the method that I use in my coaching. So I did away with, my old Becky Now's coaching strategies. I implemented a new realm, if you will. I've replicated it with my clients. It's nothing strenuous. It's nothing stressful. It's actually one of those where we do look at the nervous system. And it's not perfect. I'm the two other ladies on here can tell you I don't do things perfectly. But it is a case where I have changed things, right? I have moved that needle in what I've been doing into a more aligned method. I'll put it that way. So it's taking it moment by moment versus running on someone else's structure, if that makes sense. But yes, I have made the change, and now we're into the next season, right? Like I said, seasons change, seasons come, seasons go. Even though I'm trying to build into more of a maintenance and strength, that's part of this challenge that I will be focusing on, is building muscle and strength training. But
I love that. Any last words of encouragement or advice, Coach Lai?
Keep coming back.
what are your tips for summer?
Nervous system first. That is, I think, been the key to what I was missing all along. And I can go back 4 years, almost 5 now. And I remember this coach who shall remain nameless over there with the yellow top. Is it yellow?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Look
It's
at
my
her
vintage
grin.
top. I went on vacation and we went to a vintage store, and so it's
Oh, is that your new one?
Yeah.
So I remember Becky asking me probably about that long ago, how's your stress? Fine. Fine. I'm not under it. Do you remember?
Mm-hmm. I ask a lot of people that, and you'd be surprised how many times I get that response.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fine. I don't have any
I'm
stress.
fine.
What are you talking about?
I don't know what you're talking
Mhm.
about.
Okay.
And yeah, it was funny because in the 6 weeks meditation that I just completed, one of the things was she had me go back for the last 3 years, 3 years. And when I realized the amount of stress I was under, I mean, we put our house up for sale. We sold our house. We packed everything. We bought a camper. We moved into a camper. We moved, 6 hours away from where we were. We, right. I mean, start looking at, I live in a travel trailer. And we bought land. Right, so much stress. I mean, everything I own is still in two storage units that's an hour and a half away from me. So we're still living under a lot of stress. But it was funny that it was like I had to give myself a lot of credit of going through all of that, but then I have to let that go now, right? Now it's in the dreaming stage. Now we're looking at floor plans, and we think we found one tonight. Um, so yeah, I know. So next steps will be to go back to the builder that we really liked, and get the drawings drawn up, and it's going to be another what, probably year before this is all said and done, and it's okay because I got to dream in this season. So nervous system, huge. Oh, we lost
We
Becky
lost
a second.
Becky.
Yeah, she'll be back. Something must have happened. Um, but yeah, nervous system, and it's funny, Sly, because you're kind of in that right there with me on that nervous system as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what she she jumped ship.
She did jump ship. Oh well, we can actually see her off screen. She
You
walked
can,
away.
I
I
can't.
oh yeah, I can. She actually walked away from her desk, so we'll see what's going on here in a minute. See, life happens, and we are live. This is happening. I think that's the thing is what do you see with people that hangs them up the most?
Themselves,
Yeah.
like themselves, like you said, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the stars to align. I even with what I did last week for myself, I let that hang up on me of like waiting for the perfect time, waiting for me to be ready, and I just like pulled the ripcord instead of waiting for that perfect moment. Um, we that song and lyrics, like we're our own worst enemy. We are the ones that hang up ourselves usually. Um, and hanging up on the details. Uh, when I go into the treatment centers and stuff, they have the internet. They've seen things. They know the macros. They've heard the words. They've heard the terminologies that I'm putting out. They can see that, and I'm like, listen, don't worry about it. The only thing I ask them to get rid of, first thing is rest and repair. Second thing is sugary drinks. Third thing is try not to eat anything with a label on it. That's it. Try those things first and see where it gets you. And unless you're in an emergency situation, there's no reason to jump off the deep end like I did. You know, there's no reason to jump off the deep end um, head first into the deep end unless you're in an emergency situation. You know, I think I've coached maybe at less than a and the since 2019 or before, at least minimally since 2019, I have probably coached two people that needed to really just rip off the band-aid right away because either they had surgeries coming up, mainly that had surgeries coming up, or they were in a mental health crisis, right? Other than that, there is no reason that you have to go to any extreme in one way or another to get where you're going.
Welcome back, Becky. Um,
Sorry.
We seen you were disappeared there for a second. That's why I said this is live. Like we never know what's
This
gonna
is life.
happen. It's real. This is real world stuff. Any last minute things, Becky?
Not that
Advice?
I can, not that I can think of. I mean, really, like I said, just taking that time to protect your energy. Ask yourself, the hard questions, right? Create memory system. I mean, a lot of people, are hyper focused on their journey, whether that be the weight or the nutrition or the clean house, right? People aren't going to end up and remember that, but they're going to end up and remember the laughs, the conversations, and really, I call it patio time, but sitting outside in the sunsets, taking that moment to create those memories, and you know continue to give yourself permission to keep going.
Well, so if this conversation resonated with you or reminded you that you're not alone in this season that you're in, we would love for you to stay connected with us. So, how you do that, Becky? You want to throw up the banner for the BNC
Um,
community? Um, she didn't expect that. Did you see her face?
I,
So, we do ask that you follow the show, leave a review, share the episode with someone who might need to hear it right now. Your support helps us continue having these honest conversations and building a space where real sustainable health is possible. And if this episode stirred something in you, take a moment to reflect what you are carrying into this summer season. And we're so glad you're here. And we will see you next week. I didn't get it pulled up here. Let's see if I can get it pulled up quick to tell you what are we going to talk about next week. So while I'm looking, you guys can talk for a second.
we also have a guest. I don't know if you've
Oh,
seen that, Sherry. We have a guest
no.
coming up on the 22nd of the month.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah, I put 3 invitations out, so we got 1 bite. So let's see. Next week is the 8th. So Becky and I are going to talk about why healing makes you lose people. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, healing changes your boundaries, your identity, and your tolerance for chaos. And some people, they just won't grow with you. So next week we're going to kind of break that down, right? Why healing makes you lose people, the kind of the psychology behind it. Do you want to come back for that, Sly? And how to navigate the loneliness that kind of comes with growth. So we're going to kind of dive into that kind of taboo subject. Like nobody talks about how you change and therefore it changes others around you. So don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. Let us know if you have a topic you would like to hear. And Salai will be back the first Monday of every month. So we will see her in July. And yeah, have a good evening, ladies.
Have a wonderful evening, and thank you again, Sly, and thanks for everyone